Tessa and Nick Groff have become quite a powerhouse in the paranormal community, especially after Nick left Ghost Adventures quite dramatically with that bombshell video basically accusing Zach Baggins of being a bit of a douchebag. And it blew the lid on everything that we knew about Zach Baggins, about Ghost Adventures, and what was going on behind the scenes. Now, you may remember about a week or two ago, Amy Bruni, or Bruni, I got it completely wrong in that video. I've been corrected many a time in the comment sections. It's Amy Bruni. I will get that right from now on. Apologies to Amy for getting your name wrong. Amy Bruni came out with some very interesting tweets, right? Talking about how people blame Zach, for example, for cancelling ghost hunting shows and paranormal investigating shows. And she works behind the scenes and she knows that Zach has not got that kind of power. And it's down to some bigwigs that are up in the high up offices that don't care about the shows. They just care about the ratings. And that's, you know, those are the people that cancel the shows if they don't get good ratings, right? And that's the whole reason as to why shows get cancelled, which completely goes against what Nick Groff had to say when he made his expose video, where he was basically like, I believe that my show, you know, Paranormal Lockdown, was taken off air because of Zach Baggins, because of his ego. And apparently Zach had come into the room, right, into a room with Dakota Layden and stuff, to basically say, yeah, I've just got that show shut down. Because apparently it was very, very rivaling to that of Ghost Adventures, and it could have, you know, potentially knocked Ghost Adventures off that pedestal for the Discovery Channel. Now, Amy Bruni obviously came out with a long string of stuff, basically taking a little jab at Nick Groff. Nick Groff fired back, which then led to this kind of spiral. The whole drama between those two I've already covered quite extensively in a video, so if you want to see that and the whole breakdown, go over to watch that video. It was from a couple of weeks ago. You can't miss it. But Tessa Groff, who is the wife of Nick Groff as well, as you can probably imagine, did get involved with this at the time as well. So during the tweets and during the whole thing that was going on, Amy obviously made a tweet here, which was in reference to Nick. And she said, I've literally been saying it for years, but then I get all these little Reddit fans online who think they know more than I do when I actually work for the goddamn company, lol. And then someone said, may not have happened to you, but it may seem that you're implying it didn't happen to Paranormal Lockdown and Destination Fear, which you wouldn't know. Which, of course, you know, was the shows of Dakota Layden, which was, you know, Destination Fear. They moved over to YouTube. And then Nick Groff's Paranormal Lockdown. Amy then said, there's a lot more to these shows than any of you know, but that's not my place to say. So obviously, you know, alluding to the fact that there's something else going on behind the scenes, there's more than we are aware of, that, you know, other people haven't mentioned, and kind of like put out the feelers a little bit, like, oh, there's a little bit more going on than you are completely aware of, but it's not my place to say, is it? It's not my place to say. To which Tessa actually retweeted this and stated, since you opened the can of worms, why not tell us, quote, a lot more is... you had no part in those shows, you didn't hear the ultimatums or see the proof Nick has. What an interesting coincidence you have to speak on it. So, very interesting. Obviously, Tessa kind of alluding to, you know, something a bit further there as well. But then, of course, Amy Bruni came up with another one. So, this was in response to Nick. So, Nick said, Amy throwing shade, provide proof of what you're saying. Lol, I didn't throw shade. I said I was in a place to comment on your show despite the things I know behind the scenes. Wasn't in a place despite what I know behind the scenes. That's your job, dude, with the love hearts. Obviously, there's a little bit of passive aggression going on there. Alluding again to knowing of something going on behind the scenes. You know, she even says here, despite things I know from behind the scenes. So clearly there's something that Amy is claiming has happened but is not sharing. And it's almost like this whole idea of, you know, when people go to say something absolutely savage and it's like, oh, actually, I'm not going to say that. Instantly, you're like, well, what were you going to say? You then want to know, because you wouldn't have said, it's like, you know that you've come up with an absolutely wicked quip, but you know it's absolutely savage and it could potentially offend someone. That way, you want to know what's about to be said. And then Amy's basically like, oh, I know all of this stuff, dangling the carrot, but I'm not going to tell you. That's your place to do. Basically, you know, turning the community against against Nick and being like, Nick, what do you know, my dude? Anyway, Obviously, Tessa then responded to this as well and says the person who made multiple posts and comments about the topic and his shows she wasn't a part of. Either provide the proof of the things that you know or just shut up. I mean, yeah, I think that's fair. Then the whole thing dies down. Nobody talks about it again. Just completely goes kaput. Off you go. See you later. Everyone goes about their business, right? And a few days later, on April 30th, it was announced that the Penhurst Paracon was obviously going to be coming to town as per usual on May 17th and 18th. And Nick and Tessa Groff are part of the Penhurst Paracon. They are going to be there together. They're going to be doing it. Lots of people go to the Paracon. Usually it's a lot of people, you know, in the paranormal world go. Lots of people. I think the Project Fear are going. I know that obviously Nick and Tessa are going. I'm pretty sure Jason Hawes gets involved with these kinds of things. I know that it's like a meet and greet, right? It's like a massive it's a convention, Paracon, right? And they stated, you know, should be fun. Who's going to be joining us? Penhurst Asylum Paracon 2025. And then, interestingly enough, my computer's not playing the game. Here we go. Amy also announces that she will be at Paracon, which obviously doesn't come as much of a surprise, you know, with her being part of Kindred Spirits and also being part of Ghost Hunters back in the day. She has announced who we're going to be seeing next weekend, and that is, you know, at Kindred Spirits, right? And Penhurst Paracon and all the rest of it. Tessa then jumps over to Twitter once again and states, when X, quote, hosts down others about booking events, yet book the same events she downs for others for, and literally stole receipts and calls it her cookbook. For someone who says that she doesn't want to talk about paranormal drama online, she sure opens her mouth a lot. Copycats everywhere. Yeah. So there's a little bit of tea going on right here. Obviously, it's very all of it's very backhanded. You know, all of it is very backhanded. It's like a lot of you know, backhanded shade, backhanded comments, backhanded everything going on. As far as I'm aware, Amy hasn't responded to this. She hasn't nibbled. She hasn't bit. You know, she's just kind of let it happen, I suppose. You know, she's not nibbled at this one, but it's really, yeah, it's an interesting one. It is an interesting one. I'd be intrigued to see what yeah, it would be interesting to see what happens, you know, with regards to this. So, what do you guys think? Who's in the right? Who's in the wrong? Are they both in the wrong? Are they both in the right? I don't know. It's up to you guys to decide. Let me know down in the comments below. While you're down there, jump scare the hell out of that like button and subscribe while you and, you know, do all the good stuff that you're supposed to do. I can't remember how to outro a video, so I'm just going to say see ya. Peace.